doing all this interior specific work, we're constantly referring to the whole ranch or whole farm organism. You need to establish that. If your place is small enough, you can walk the border. You could stir up some kind of intentional preparation that we've used, walk your border, and throw out on your fence line. That doesn't mean you're affecting the neighbors, but you're creating an intentional space. So in biodynamics, we have something called the Three Kings. This was developed by Hugo Herbe, who was somewhat contemporary with Rudolf Steiner in the 20s. He went into the 50s and 60s. He was particularly sensitive. He had a gem collection, a rock and mineral collection to be enviable. He didn't drive, so he had a driver, and whenever he went somewhere, they'd be driving along and he would say, "Stop," and just make the driver stop. And he'd get out and he'd walk into the forest and be out within a few minutes, bringing just ridiculous, incredible specimens of different crystal. The guy was tuned into something special. Some people are more sensitive about certain things than others. He devised a series of preparations that were gifts to various elementals or seen and unseen spirits or forces that he could communicate with. And so he left us a very thin little white book, which were the additional preps. They're not the original 9 preparations that Steiner gave, but one of those is called the Three Kings. And so what did the Three Kings bring as a gift?
Gold.
Frankincense, and myrrh.
Right, so frankincense, gold, and myrrh. And he put together the resonance time in the cosmos and everything else, when to grind them. A half an hour before New Year's, you take those 3 substances and grind them together in a mortise and pestle. I've done this for numerous, really whoop-up party, New Year's Eve. Everybody always says they're coming, but they never come to help grind it. But we sit there anyway on the couch on New Year's Eve. We did this for about 5 years. And you grind frankincense, myrrh, and gold in a half hour of the old year and a half hour into the new. And then you mix this with glycerin and rainwater. He has all these things. On Epiphany, which is January 6th, you go out for post holing in the snow with a 240-acre border. People do show for that. We'll stir that, and then people will take a bucket and a whisk broom, and we'll divide the ranch up, and everybody goes out and establishes a border. You see what do I need to draw it? You get the idea?
Yep.
And so there's 6 or 8 of us, and we'll drop people off on the road, and they do this section and meet the other person. We end up with a border that's intentional. 3 Kings, the gifts. This is the thing he talks about. You're making a promise to all of the life within your eye that you're responsible for, within your place. You're creating a border, but you're also making a promise to all the life. The last thing you want to do is break a promise to these entities. He says they'll attach themselves to you and annoy you till you die. So it's a big deal. It's not to be taken lightly. A year after several decades on the place, we've decided to put the place up for sale. We haven't gone full-on realtor MLS, but we did put a sign out front. But before we did any of that, I remember that promise to the life. And so I asked, is this okay? Everything else is indicating that. They said, no, you're fine. You go. But we asked because we had made a promise. You follow? Doesn't mean you can't get out, but you want to get out with grace. Establishing a border is an important thing, and you could do it. Now, the scale of this ranch is such, and Secret Pass, that you can do it with the plat. You can do it with a Google Earth blow-up of a map. So scale's not a problem in that sense. And so the smaller places, it's good for you to get out there and set the boundary. But I've helped people that have larger places, and it's taken a moment and setting the intention. You lay the whole plat out on a table. You can offer gifts. They can be, you could just say frankincense, myrrh, and gold. Some of this stuff you can let go of, but I think the substance helps us get in. We need to know it. That's why I still help people learn to make the foundational preparation. Because after they know it, and they've been through the process and used them, they could actually call them in. Right now I could go under my house and I know where the yarrow prep is, where the dandelion prep is, and where the mother is, the horn manure. Or I can go to the shed that's in the window and call in a particular silica. Because I know it, I've made them. You understand? It's like the rods are a crutch. After a while you just are getting it and you don't need it. So this is working in air. This is what we are able to do. But I think it's important to know these things first. Okay, this is advanced work. I don't have the right journal with me for this. There's talk in agriculture that we're going to run out of phosphorus. There's a perceived lack or scarcity. True? Phosphorus is what are we going to do in so many years? And so I said, that doesn't sound right to me. First of all, people are spreading tons of stuff on their land. There's phosphorus in the ground. And there's available phosphorus and unavailable phosphorus. So I started to go after, I'm going to say, I want to work on phosphorus. I went to rock shops and I went to Wiki and I went on the internet and I got old books out and I learned everything I could about phosphorus and how phosphorus works.
God spoke the earth into existence. He is the creator. And so all of the elements were organized because of what he said. And I think he sang it. That's my personal belief. And so what you're saying, it's true.
Not much of a stretch. A pretty advanced level of work. We can do that. So here we have, Jared's called up and he's got, what do we call the soil? They're saline, what do we call it? They're salty. Alkaline, but extreme. Were they eights? They were 8 something, 8.6, 8.5.
pH, yep, almost not.
Is it salt?
If it dissolves in water, I call it a salt. So depends where you're
It's
going.
a salt. Yeah, it's not Bonneville Flats.
Yeah, it's a different form of salt.
Last night, typical of my nightly work, I'm up about usually around 2:33 or so, and I was up till 5, and I got a download on. I got this indication before, and I drew it on the board, but there's some clarity that came in about it. I'm calling it saline soils, but you'd call them alkaline. Same or no? I want to be sure we're working on the right thing.
They're not quite the same. Alkaline is more just like the pH, whereas salinity is your salt content in the soil.
But what were the soil Haney's showing?
They were high pH.
But
I don't know.